So Khalil won the dice roll. Gets to go first with a fairly standard-ish Unchained list here. A pretty consistent, good meta call for this event. Really powerful, especially with the removal of a Ice Heart, getting to get your graveyard online for Sarama. And just being able to go for this standard line here with Tour Guide, it looks like.
And Tour Guide immediately gets impermanence. And this is kind of a weak spot for the deck, because then you have to make it like a 3-card combo.
Well, it's, yeah, but I mean, you've traded one of the... Normally it's a 2-card combo, right? Except for Tour Guide, which is a 1-card combo. But if Tour Guide trades one of the cards in your opponent's hand, then it's kind of like a 2-card combo.
You're in a pretty good spot here with the Prison. You can get basically any Unchained card from your deck to your hand. And on top of that, of course, there's a lot of extenders. There's the Shivara, there's the DD, as we see here, being summoned to the field.
Did that DD King get searched, or did it come straight from his hand?
That actually looked like it came from the hand, yeah.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, at least he drew the contract to go with it. And you're kind of paying 2 cards to special summon a monster rather than just 1, which is ideal. But, you know, I guess it's better to at least have the contract rather than just have the DD King being a blank card in your hand.
So this is the extension part of the deck here, as it allows you to shuffle and return a card, and then trigger the Prison. So one of the cool things about this deck is that oh no, okay, double hand trap.
And that is really powerful, because you now can go into the Yama with those 2 monsters. However, that does not really get you anywhere.
Yeah, you would need a further card in your hand to extend, which...
If he has anything at all to set, it's not too bad. You can still summon the Aruha, but I'm not sure if he's got anything to set. That's the issue.
Yep.
And it's also a little bit rough, because the Machine X can only get the effect to attach if you control a contract or if you have enough materials.
Yeah, you need 2 materials. Unfortunately, it's only got 1.
So finding through the extra deck here, I guess, maybe potentially has some sort of follow-up. There's not really much you can do, I suppose, with just a Tour Guide and a Machine X here. It looks like he is going to go for the Yama.
I mean, generate some resources here does not seem too bad to me, but it is also not like the play that is going to get you into the winning position that you want to be in.
This is one of the cool things about Unchained and why I think it's such a strong deck for this event. It doesn't really get super hurt too much by things like Impermanence and Ash Blossom if you have the right extender in your hand. And it's very consistent to be able to just draw any of those extenders, you know? You've got the Shivara, you've got a Ruha. Yep, that's the thing. If you just have a set card, you can just kind of keep going.
Yep, and
so
now...
Special summons the Shivara, link away, get a trap set directly from the deck here.
Not the ideal set card there, but enough.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? It's good enough. Through 2 hand traps, you're going to be able to link away a special summon monster, and you have the Escape, the Icarus attack style card of the
I've not been counting. How many cards has Khalil used? Is this all 5? So we saw the Tour Guide, 2 contracts, 1 DD monster, and the Prison. So that's all 5 cards. So his hand should be empty now.
Yep.
And we're going to start off strong with the Scareclaw engine immediately. And that must be... Was that below? No, it's Astra, right?
So the way the Scareclaw strategy works is that they all special summon themselves in the main monster zone to the adjacent zone of a Scareclaw monster. And based off of how which ones you have, you can actually get bonus effects for your boss monster, Tryheart. And you can see here the Unchained Soul of Rage is linking away with the opponent's special summon monster here and just trying to remove as many bodies as possible. Yet we're going to go for the Escape. After we link off with the opponent's monster, destroy, normal summon has been committed, and then on top of that, the Anguish gets to float here into a return from the graveyard, also triggering the Yama in the process.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with the Scareclaw deck. If he just popped the first monster, would that have stopped him from summoning any more monsters?
Yeah, but the issue is, like, I suppose he probably felt like you don't get any value from the Rage because you can only link with special summon monsters, so I guess he probably felt like he wanted to link off the special guy, then hit the other monster, take 2 cards away from the opponent, but it looks like we've got Rhoda for Rykart here.
But Rykart doesn't really do anything right here. You cannot normal summon it anymore, and there is no monster you can play it to, and there is the pass, and that is not looking too good. The Tour Guide was
another Tour Guide top deck. Oh no, it was added to the hand, of course.
Yeah.
Yes. It adds any fiend from graveyard. Gosh.
Yeah, and I feel like an uninterrupted Tour Guide is going to provide easily 8,000 damage.
Yes.
Yeah.
The battle phase right here is crucial now.
Normal summon is just a pretty crucial part of Scareclaw. They have a lot of special summons and extensions, but you do need the body on it, kind of similar to Sprite in a way.
Do they have a starter like Sprite?
A Scareclaw starter?
Yeah.
Not sure, actually. I don't think they have just that guy you can summon for free.
Only summon monsters in defense position for the rest of the turn, right?
Just fine, because it's a Link deck. So, you know, talking a little bit about Tryhard, it is a pretty cool boss monster in that it has this almost Baguska-like effect. It puts all your opponent's monsters to defense position, although it doesn't negate them. But with the trap card that he is actually playing, Twin Saw, once it gets into the graveyard, you can actually negate Link monsters.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, this should be quite easily able to put up 8,000 damage as well. Under 5 summons, particularly important too, which is quite a relevant threshold for this deck. One of the cool ways that Unchained can perform OTKs is by activating the quick effect of Rakea, as you can see here, during the battle phase, so then you can get multiple special summons while you're in the battle phase and not being able to trigger that Nibiru.
Yeah, it's such a cool, like, a little trick, isn't it? I mean, it's amazing how powerful just like an effect
isn't really playing any go first cards in his side deck. The only card he has is Dimensional Barrier, which isn't really going to be very useful in this matchup. So it really is just a case of his deck feels like it's good enough going first to set up that Tryhard with Twin Saw. And then his side deck plan really is just for multiple disruptions against anyone who tries to combo against them.
You know, when you were talking about Scareclaw Kashtira being an out to things, I was thinking about it being an out to Baguska. And I was like, that doesn't sound that relevant this format. And then you're like, it's an out to Exploit Noir, which is probably much more helpful.
I mean, Baguska is always a threat in every format, right? There's always one cheeky deck that can easily go for a rank 4.
Yeah, can you think of any fire decks that make Baguska, Leo?
I think that Salamangreat could potentially go for one. I don't know if it's that popular right now. I have seen Dwellers, though.
Yeah, Dweller is a real powerful monster just now. You can see so many different decks like Tearlament. Any deck that can make a rank 4 wants to make Dweller against Unchained, but not really something we're going to be seeing here from the Scareclaw deck as we continue off with our combo here. Lightheart, such an incredible Link one, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's a Link one. You can summon it and use it multiple times a turn, and it brings itself back. Often when we see archetypes getting Link ones, they're often like the linchpin of the archetype, right? Because if you have a Link 1, it often turns any monster in your deck into a copy of it. Because that's kind of how Link 1s work, isn't it? Like any Scareclaw monster can make this.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the historical kind of legacy of Link 1s. You know, we've seen cards like Meow Meow, Vanquish Soul have their own little Link 1, so Lightheart as well, a really powerful monster that just requires any card in your own archetype. So he's just explaining Twin Saw here to the opponent. It's basically, as you like to describe it, an Icarus attack, right? And if you also control Visa Starfrost, it banishes as well. Although I don't think that's going to be super relevant. But yeah, it is a good piece of disruption. Then you can banish it from the graveyard and negate Link monsters.
Now we're seeing the boss monster, the Tryhard, hit the field. And Tryhard's effect is incredible because you do not only special summon a level 3 or lower Scareclaw monster, but you also add something from the deck to the hand, a Scareclaw monster. However, because of this, you can actually just Ash. This triple tactic talent is going to see the change of heart in the hand of Khalil.
All right, well, a couple of options here, I suppose. I mean, you got the extender of Shivara, but I think the tour guide might be really important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the change of heart makes a lot of sense.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I mean, you want to have the Tryhard on the field. That is going to be hard to out for your opponent. With this hand, I mean, there is the possibility... No, not really. Okay, so my train of thought there was that if Khalil doesn't top deck a spell or trap card that he can set, he couldn't play through a pop 1. However, if one monster is popped, the tour guide in this case, you have the Abomination to special summon.
Yeah, you do need a way to negate the tour guide.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit of an awkward spot because any tour guide disruption can be chained by the Shivara to destroy it and special, and then therefore dodge something like Imperm and still get a Rhino out. That allows you to go for a Link 2, and then you have to contend with the Twin Saw. But at the same time, the most important effect, I think, of Twin Saw in this matchup specifically might actually be the Graveyard effect, negating Link monsters on the field.
Yeah, you can also negate tour guide with Ash. That you can't stop that with Shivara. depending on the last. I don't know if we know the last card in Aaron's hand.
Yeah, choosing to go for the hand loop instead of the draw suggests that he's kind of got everything he wants in this matchup.
I love taking a card out of your opponent's hand when you've already kind of comboed. It feels so good.
Also, almost the most important part about this effect is having all of the information about your opponent's hand. You know when to activate your trap cards or your powerful monster effects on the opposing turn, because you know what's coming. You can actually plan this out.
Yeah, because we saw in the last game, for example, Aaron, you know, it's a bit of a gamble that when you activate impermanence on a tour guide, right? Because they could have Shavara, but this time he knows 100% do not do that because your opponent's got the Shavara in hand to chain to an impermanence.
And we are considering to activate. Oh, Forbidden Droplet is going to be much better here because we're sending the Twin Sword.
You do have to
okay.
send the monster card though, otherwise
Yeah.
your opponent can respond with a monster effect.
Yeah.
Yep.
Don't know if this really does much, because on resolution here, the droplet will resolve, negating the Shavara instead, and Tour Guide still will summon from the deck for a Fiendish Rhino Warrior. Now you still have a Link 2 play. Admittedly, the Link 2 will be negated by the Twin Saw.
This is still not ideal, is it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Much rather. I mean, I understand that he wanted to get the Twin Saw into the graveyard ASAP, but yeah, this is possibly a bit of a misstep here. Maybe most people just kind of shortcut in their heads that droplets just says your opponent can't respond with monster effects, and forgot the point that you actually also have to send a monster for its effect.
So there it is on resolution. We're going to activate Twin Saw, and you still get like 2 powerful grave effects here. You know, even if you get the Yama negated, you can still dump the Siyama, and we get a set trap from the deck with the Shavara. So this isn't actually a horrible position at all for Khalil.
Yep. I think, I mean, of course, it's always tempting to just activate your droplet on the tour guide to stop your opponent in his tracks. However, how far can you let your opponent play until you really need the droplet? Like, you could keep the droplet and just wait until there's something that's really threatening you.
Yeah, you could also, if you just send the Scareclaw Acro instead of the Twin Saw, but then I guess if you send the Scareclaw Acro, then the Twin Saw gets a bit stranded because you don't want to tribute your...
I think the real sort of crux of the matter here is that it's just not a very good card into Unchained, right? And I feel that it kind of maybe begs the question as to why that would be a choice in deck building. It just seems really underwhelming because the deck is so focused on graveyard that something like Droplet just kind of doesn't feel as good. So you can see here, I mean, you know, through a Forbidden Droplet, that's a game-winning card sometimes against a lot of decks, right? But in this scenario, we're triggering 2 grave effects, we're setting, and we're bringing back Siyama, and then triggering the escape, and we're still playing the game, right? So it's really a testament to just how resilient Unchained is.
Yeah, and there's going to be almost no issue. Oh no, I suppose we don't have Link Monsters effect, so this might actually be quite tricky. I was thinking that it wouldn't be super tricky, but I think it is. But I guess you can always just make the Unchained Soul of Rage and wait until your opponent's turn to out the Tri-Heart.
Yeah, it is admittedly like quite an annoying boss monster to handle for Unchained, because one of the reasons why it struggles with Flunder, right, is that it's all of your Link monsters are negated, and the only real way to get to, you know, an out is something like the Unchained Abomination Soul, which we have in the hand, but because of the Twin Saw this turn, or rather because of the Twin Saw, we can't use a Link monster, and because of the Tri-Heart, it is unaffected by defense position monsters.
Yeah, I mean, one of the funny things about the Unchained versus Floowandereeze in particular is the Unchained interruptions do nothing against Floowandereeze, whereas in this case the Unchained's pretty reasonable against Floowandereeze.
Oh, okay. Underworld Goddess jump scare coming out here. Beautiful. You'll love to see that. A lot of people playing Underworld because it's just a nuisance to deal with Pearly Noir.
Also, Underworld Goddess is really, really strong against the Scareclaw strategy as well to prevent a summon from the graveyard.
Does Shyama need to go back to the deck, possibly?
Shyama was special summoned by destroying the trap, so when it leaves the field, it should return to the bottom of the deck. Yep.
Yeah, easy to forget sometimes. Hopefully our table judge will catch that in a moment. Shouldn't be too easy. Very easy to repair.
Yeah, perfect.
So in terms of follow-up here, we've do we have anything else that we can do through the Underworld?
I like the way you described Underworld Goddess as a jump scare. It's very scary, isn't it? Just like, wait, you're kind of happy sitting on your big boss monster, and then your opponent's like, can you just put that in the graveyard for me? And you're like, why? Like, surprise, here we are.
It's always frightening when your monster just leaves the field. That's unaffected. And like, wait, what happened? It's a link. It's a summoning condition, you know?
But that was an immediate pass after the Underworld Goddess, and I was thinking just going into the Soul of Rage and passing sounded like a really good idea to me.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that as well, but I guess it can be tempting always just to clear your opponent's monster as fast as possible.
Oh wow, the Droll and Lockbird here is really strong, especially after you have added a field spell that is supposed to add other cards. And now we're going to see how Aaron handles the situation, because he is just now summoning the Scareclaw Kashtira, meaning that he has other plays, possibly. So let's see what his extra deck brings here.
Yeah, I don't know what the Link 2 situation is now.
I mean, the main deck is obviously off the table. We have Drolled it, we have locked it up, and now we're just going to wait. Maybe Aaron is going to summon this just to have it in defense position?
Yeah, his last card in hand is the Primeval Planet.
Yeah.
Which isn't going to do an awful lot. It can still... yeah, it can reduce the attack of Underworld Goddess by 100.
Doesn't it gain you 100 or something
Oh,
for each Scareclaw?
I think it reduces the opponent's monsters.
Okay.
All of the other field spells in this kind of
Yeah.
cycle give your monsters attack, but this one...
Not sure if that's going to be big enough, is it?
It kind of scares your opponent's monsters, so they lose some attack and defense.
Aha, get it? Scareclaw?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought because of the jump scare. That's
Yeah. Oh, there we go. There's a lot
double
of
funny.
scaring.
Oh, and
Oh,
we have
Donner.
Donner, Dagger for Hire, trying to clear the field right here, destroying the Underworld Goddess. And now we have both players at, I think, one card, and this is the Abominable Unchained Soul that is being triggered right here.
Could we not have triggered Yama, though? Was there something...
Do we have a Yam on the grave?
Yeah.
We should have.
Okay. Yeah, we
No.
could have used Yama, bring back...
Yeah, I feel like sometimes
Everything.
it can be easy to forget your graveyard effects, but that would have been super duper relevant
Yeah.
here, right?
Oh, but it doesn't really matter because we top deck the Abomination.
Yeah, that should let us go into another copy of Yama. Well, I'm not really sure what the line is here. Hopefully, Khalil will be able to, show us what it is. But Yama by itself is possibly not going to do a lot.
I think you can just pop the Abominable Spirit that you have on the field and it's going to summon itself back.
Summons itself back in the end phase, right? Oh, now
Yeah.
he can use his Yama. Okay.
Alright, fair enough.
I guess if you know you're going to be summoning a top-decked Abomination Prison, you can always just save it for your own turn there. Yama's going to bring back, and I think he's just checking to see how this interaction would work in the end phase to see if he can actually just special it now. But 8,000 life points, I think there should be a way to game here, right? Like, if we bring back Aruha Rakea. The Shavara floats as well, right?
And we are bringing back the Phoenix Rhino Warrior.
Yeah,
Interesting.
that's very cool because now you can make another Yama, and the Rhino Warrior can send Shyama, and you get a set and you get an Ad and a Ruha. Yeah, this is going to be so much gas.
Yeah, he knows the last card in hand is the field spell, so it really shouldn't actually be that hard to navigate into 8,000 here. Let's see if he can perform it. All from just a Yama in the grave and a top deck prison.
Yeah, it turns out if you top deck the search everything in your deck card, sometimes it can help you.
The thing is, though, it just feels like it sounds like, oh, you top deck the prison, but admittedly at the same time, there's so many potential cards you can just draw because every Unchained monster physically kind of just does the same thing, so it works out pretty consistently.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't even... If he just remembered the Yarn on the previous turn, he wouldn't have even needed anything, and he would have been fine.
That is true. So now we are waiting if Khalil can put 8,000 damage onto the field. Aaron doesn't really have much that he can do right there. He is just sitting there and waiting with his Ragphobia. I did not think that Drone Lockburn on turn 3 would stop the would win Khalil the game this time, but it looks like it really got him into a really advantageous position.
Yeah, Drone Lockbird is one of those cards where when it's your 6th card or whatever, it feels so bad often when your opponent's just, added 10 cards from their deck to your hand, and you're like, what are you doing? You're like, why are you doing this to me, Draw and Lockbird? But this time it was still pretty helpful.
It's something that's like, I feel in like everyone's side deck minimum. It's such a powerful card, and while it might not be great against something like Unchained, sometimes even Pearly, depending on their hand, it's like, because of how diverse the format is, I mean, I've been talking to players all weekend, they're just saying like, yeah, I played like 7 different decks in Swiss. It's like, one of them is going to be just hard countered by Droll. It's really powerful, this format, I think.
Yeah, it is a very great kind of catch-all, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
How much damage is this already?
Oh, okay. Did we go through Rakea already?
Yeah, Rakea's in the graveyard. There it is.
Okay. Sarama brought back... Oh, okay. We're going to not bring back Rakea here. There's like 7 different lines to game anyway, so it's irrelevant.
More than 8,000. There's no Scareclaw cheeky graveyard effects, are there?
Yeah, unfortunately not. That's 8,000 damage performed by Khalil there with an